Hello, and welcome to another episode of A Day in the District. I am Chelsea Whittington and so honored to be your host. A Day in the District is simply that, where we have a special guest where we talk about their day in the district and the many changes and improvements they're making on behalf of children of the Gary Community School Corporation. Today, I am delighted to have a special guest and friend, our athletic director, Mr. Robert Lee. Hello, Coach.
Hey, how you doing?
I am doing well. I try to
Good.
catch up with you, but you're like on roller skates because you have been so dedicated to our athletic program to ensure that it continues to thrive even in the midst of a pandemic. Welcome to the show. Please tell me how these past few months have been as athletic director and working with our young people.
Well, I'm glad to be here, Chelsea. And these last few months, it's hard to believe it's only been about 6 months. I feel like we've accomplished so much. And when I say we, obviously it's a whole village of people, starting with, Dr. Page and Mr. Mahone, our principal. I feel like we just got a lot of things accomplished.
Yeah.
A lot of the things go out to our coaches. When you start talking about the pandemic and keeping our athletes safe, they play a huge role in that. We've generated a lot of our protocols through the IHSA, and then we had to add some based on Lake County, the county in which we operate in.
Different layers
of rules. And our coaches have done a phenomenal job. We only had one instance where we had to put a program on pause. But other than that, we have been going, full tilt. So shout out to the coaches. They've done a phenomenal job.
In my business, it's with PR, no news is good news. And you know
Correct.
how I knew that everything was going smoothly? Nobody called me. Because when the press starts to call to say, I heard there was an outbreak or danger, danger, and I haven't gotten any of those calls. But you have to let us know how you calm the fears, concerns, any questions of parents, and just those who may have been concerned about the safety of our athletes. Talk about some of the things that you specifically did, keeping them in the loop, and the things that the athletes have to do, even now, to keep themselves safe.
Right. So basically, as far as calming the fears, that part was pretty easy because a lot of our student athletes are returning student athletes, and they experienced last year. They experienced having their seasons removed and stopped and those types of things. So once we got our marching orders from the IHSA and from Lake County, one of our kind of rallying points has been, you better get comfortable with being uncomfortable. If you want to have a season, it's basically up to them. And so once we put in the protocols and, they've been following them, the coach has been pretty stringent with it. As far as the community go and having fans and things like that, that has kind of somewhat put a damper like on the budget as far as, raising funds and things like that for the program, but that is nothing compared to the safety of our student athletes. So
Well, I have news for you, Coach. Shows like this, helping to get the word out about what we are doing on behalf of children, I promise you will be effective because they're able to see and hear from our athletic director about what we're trying to do as far as raising dollars for uniforms and other supplies, which we will talk about a little later. But we know even without a pandemic, fundraising and getting the needs for the children has always been a challenge. And we're here to rally behind you and alongside the coaches to show our support. So no worries on that.
Good. Well, that's a good thing because this has been a challenge from a financial standpoint and making sure, obviously, we keep them safe, but at the same time, be able to move forward as far as hosting events.
Yes, and speaking of hosting events, I was in the gymnasium the other day, and we both are proud West Side graduates. And I was so happy to see how beautiful our facility is looking. And I know we're getting close to break, but can you just start telling us some of the things that have been done to spruce up the gym? I mean, it's looking collegiate in there.
Yeah. Well, basically, we redone the floor as far as the top coat and the top finish. Not only was that from a cosmetic standpoint, but also for a safety standpoint for the athletes. You'll see that all of our seniors, we've hung banners up for the seniors. And that's just a matter of doing some of the things that as they go to other arenas, they see other schools, honoring their athletes.
Yes.
So we kind of added that and just a few more things that we're adding to make the basketball sectionals.
Yes.
Making sure that we put on a good show and people feel welcome and proud of, our West Side facilities.
Yes, when I was there, I immediately felt proud to be a part of the team, of course, to be a West Side alum, and just knowing that this has channeled down to our students. I got a chance to see the basketball team in practice. Yes, they were wearing their masks when they weren't playing. Yes, they were socially distanced, getting ready. They were excited for senior night. That's the day that I was over at the school. And I'm sure that it was an amazing time. And we have so much more to talk about as far as fundraisers, as far as what's coming in the spring. And we are delighted to have you here. If you're just tuning in, it's a day in the district where we are interviewing our athletic coach, our athletic director. We want to always, every athletic director to be his coach, right? Because you've done some coaching, and we want to hear more about your background when we get to it. And we will be right back shortly to talk to you about your career, where you've been once you left Gary Westside, and how all things have come full circle, and now you're back with us making the Gary schools great. We'll be right back.
Hey there, new girl.
Hey, girl.
How was your first week?
It was okay. Could have been better, though.
Yeah, it'll get better. Get my coat on and then we can go, okay?
What? What are you doing that for? It's 72 degrees and it's sunny outside.
The weather's not the problem. It's those clowns downstairs smoking cigarettes I'm getting ready for.
Oh, please. Look at us. We're going to lunch on a sunny day and we look hot. I would be insulted if we didn't get a few whistles.
Well, first of all, you are going to be insulted because I know I'm hot. And secondly, that really wasn't what I was talking about. It's that secondhand smoke. I mean, we can't even come to work without getting sick from that stuff. Do you know that the EPA just classified it as a group A carcinogen? Something that causes cancer in humans?
Okay, come on. Don't you think you're overreacting a little bit? You sound like one of those anti-smoking commercials.
All right, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt because you're the new girl, and you just may not understand how serious this stuff is. You know that secondhand smoke has benzene, arsenic, ammonia, hydrogen chloride, and hundreds of other toxic chemicals. Girl, them carcinogens ain't no joke, and them clowns do not be playing around doing cigarette breaks.
Okay, whatever. I got it. But you're still being a little too uptight, though.
Well, stay close to me. Keep your head lowered, and I guarantee you're going to thank me later.
Oh yeah! Get fired! Oh, green filling!
Welcome back to A Day in the District. I'm your host, Chelsea Whittington, and I'm chatting with my colleague and friend, Mr. Robert Lee, Athletic Director of the Gary Community School Corporation. You've been here approximately maybe almost a year. Has it been a year yet?
7 months.
7 months. I guess with the pandemic, it may seem like a year.
Yep.
But for our viewing audience, please share what your journey has been since you left Dear West Side.
Well, basically, once I left, I went to school, went to Illinois State. I went there and studied and played, football there. I actually graduated from IUPUI in Indianapolis, and from there got married. Just kept moving forward, and actually lived in California where my coaching career started. I started a high school program, a brand new high school program, and so that's where I kind of got the coaching bug, during that
Did you
time.
always want to be a coach?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
It was just one of those things where, some guys knew that I had, some college experience of playing, and they offered an opportunity to help out at the high school. I did it. Loved it. Loved the interaction with the kids. From there, I ended up back in Indianapolis and coached at Butler University.
Great school.
Spent
What were you coaching at Butler?
Oh, I did it all. I did it from a position coach, coaching D-line, linebackers,
Football.
DBs, football, yes.
Okay.
And, was defensive coordinator and special teams. So I did a lot of things there. Spent 10 years there. Was starting to get calls to go to different levels. And, I had a wise coach there, head coach, who basically said, Robert, they're going to stop calling if you keep turning them down.
Oh, wow.
And so I got an opportunity to do an internship with the Chicago Bears and met some people through that. And a friend of mine he's now with the Baltimore Ravens, we made a pact that, like, if either one of us ended up in a position, we was going to hire each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a call from him when he was at Eastern Michigan and said, hey, I just got the Eastern Michigan defensive coordinator job. When can you be here? So it
A man of his word.
Like, wow, okay, here we go. But before, with all that being said, that was the first time which I considered myself getting on the coaching carousel. So I have to really pay homage to my wife. She's been awesome.
Ask.
She's awesome. The only thing she ever asked me was, let's let the kids finish school, and when do you want me there?
I'll meet you there.
That's the only question she ever asked. So we spent 5 years there at Eastern Michigan, did a lot of great things. We had some, I had the fortunate enough to coach 2 second-round draft picks there. From there, came back home, had an opportunity to come back to the area, and I coached at Valparaiso University, did that for 3 years. Worked with Coach Stacy Adams, who's now the athletic director at Valparaiso High School. From there, I went to, the Miami of Ohio, known as the Cradle of Coaches.
Yes.
What a, fantastic experience, we had there. From there, I went to Earlham College, spent 5 years there where I
Down
met
in Richmond.
your
Yes.
nephew, KJ,
Yes.
a basketball player.
Yes.
And,
Shout out to KJ, a graduate of
yes.
Earlham College.
Yes,
I have
yes.
plenty of paraphernalia from supporting
Yep,
him on the basketball team.
And, from there, I kind of start sensing that, it's almost time to get off that carousel, but I didn't know exactly how it was going to work. I always enjoyed the high school, my high school experience, and always wanted to end at the high school level, but I thought it was going to be coaching, But you know how the good book said, there's a season for everything, and
Yes.
you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
Exactly.
And so I got part of it. I did end up back in, the high school realm, but not as a coach, but
Well,
as an
I would beg
athletic
to
director.
differ, Coach, because the direction and leadership that you are giving our coaches, I feel has made all the difference, because the energy starts at the top.
Okay.
And when you come in knowing that we have a program where the students are eager to get back in there, it takes the rallying cry of you to get everybody else on board. And I know you did some recruiting. We got some new faces in the district, and we're still recruiting students.
That's
so
right.
those are
That's
new
right.
faces
That's
as
right.
well. And there's just a new energy, a vibrancy in the district that I haven't seen in a long time. And it's unfortunate that the pandemic has caused limited seating, but I still see the support from the community around our athletes. And we're going to keep highlighting and showcasing those programs. You said you were going to end up back in the high school realm, or that's kind of how you saw you were getting off the coaching carousel. And we're glad that the carousel stopped in Gary, let me tell you.
Thank you.
Real
Thank
quick
you.
before we go to break, how were your friends and family when they heard that you were coming back to good old Gary?
Well, obviously, you know, now they all want to get in everything free. And they all don't have a very good memory of what things used to be here. All of a sudden, we were better than I do remember, you know. So, but other than that, it's great to be around. Obviously, my family and my wife's family, and you know, being able to see some old friends, which I spent some time with. Was it Dwayne Williams, one of the twins, yesterday? So
well, that is awesome, and that's the beautiful thing about Gary and the Gary schools, that when you come home, we welcome you back. You're watching A Day in the District. I'm Chelsea Whittington. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
It's gross. I don't really want to talk about it.
She didn't want to at first, but I mean, it's no big deal. Everybody does it.
I was ready, totally ready, because we had been practicing this dance for weeks.
He was supposed to take this girl to this dance, but
I sprained my ankle at track practice.
I hate sharing anything personal. It's so disgusting.
For the dance, I let her wear my shoes and she hated it, but I thought she looked great in them.
he could barely even walk.
I ended up taking some pills for my pain.
Yeah, they were my mom's, but
It didn't go well.
If it's not yours,
If it's not yours,
if it's not yours,
Hey you,
don't take it.
don't take it.
don't take it.
don't take it. You won't believe what happened next.
Racism is a public health issue. Understanding racism is the first step to eradicating this serious public health menace from our society. In all its insidious and collective forms, racism kills more Black people than any other current health issue. Whether intentional or unintentional, whether on an individual or systemic level, the pathology of racism has infected our society. On an individual level, it may be evident in our behaviors, actions, and beliefs. Institutionally, it is evident in the commonly accepted policies and practices that serve to marginalize whole populations of people, such as discriminatory housing and unfair lending practices, poorly funded schools, or disparate healthcare access. Why is racism considered a public health issue? The CDC defines the social determinants of health as the conditions in which people are born, grow, live, work, and age. These conditions are shaped by the distribution of money, power, and resources. Health equity is achieved when every person has the opportunity to attain full health potential, and no one is disadvantaged from achieving this potential because of social position or other socially determined circumstances. Racism is a physical, mental, and social health affliction. It leads to chronic stress, anxiety, and depression, especially among Black people. These conditions often cause hypertension, heart disease, and other illnesses that, if left untreated, can lead to untimely death. Do your part to end racism and health disparities. Engage policymakers and key stakeholders at all levels. Encourage them to understand the needs across vulnerable populations and to align and position programs to address community needs. Be the change that you want to see. It's up to all of us to secure a happier, healthier, more just future for all people.
Welcome back to A Day in the District, where we're talking with our athletic director, Mr. Robert Lee. We're reminiscing on the good times in the Gary schools and where our Gary Schools athletics program is headed. Exciting things in store. But I want to take a step back. You've been here a whole long 7 months. What are some of the highlights you feel stand out in your mind as a result of you taking this role?
Well, I would think like the number one highlight is just reconnecting with the people. You know, my old football coach, Coach Johnson, you know, we spent a lot of time, you know, talking. He's the guy I usually call to kind of throw some things off of.
That's a good sounding board.
Yes,
Hey, Coach Johnson.
Yes, he's awesome. You know, Earl Smith, you know, he's been a big help with you know, different things that, you know, I know a lot of the coaching stuff, but some of the athletic administrative stuff, he's been a big help there. And, you know, I just really enjoy, like, the kids when they just come in the office and sit down, you know,
Hey,
and,
Coach.
and just talk, you
Yeah.
know. I do enjoy that. So those are really, like, you know, my highlights. You know, I'm a worker, you know, and so everything else is just things that has to get done. But those relationships are you know, what I kind of cherish the most.
Yes, and
So-
we're talking about highlights. One of the things that I remember, since you brought up Coach Johnson and you brought up Coach Smith, where we had the announcement of the renovation of the West Side Leadership Academy track. For those of you who have been under a rock, the track has been resurfaced and it will be ready for competition in the spring.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Well, it means a lot because of the fact that you know, here in the city of Gary, I know that a lot of people think of us as a basketball town. But if you really look at the athletic history, a lot of our success from a state standpoint has been in track.
Yes.
I think I quoted something like we've won like 47 state championships in track here, boys and girls.
Yes.
So I always felt like track was one of those sports. It's an individual sport that once you show up and you put your hand and the gun goes off, there's not a whole lot of interference, you know. So like you take your team sport, basketballs, there can be, you know, a bad call. It can be, you know, an injury. It can be a lot of things that can happen. And so it takes a lot of things to align just right in order for you to actually compete and win a state title.
Yes.
Whereas track, you know, you show up, you put your hand on the line, once the gun goes off, it's just that individual.
That's right.
And I think that's why we have always been, you know, successful, you know, in that sport. So,
Yes.
no, that's something that when I took the job, I remember talking to Dr. McNulty about, you know, we got to get a major win within the first year, you know.
Yes.
And when she asked me, what does that mean? I mean, it's like, you know, we got to make a big difference.
Yes.
You know, in the first year. And I asked her for the track. You know, a lot of people kind of like, well, why didn't you ask for a turf field? You're a football guy. Well, but, you know, a track is
coming.
something that, you know, all the sports can benefit from.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
So.
And by it being outdoor,
Doors.
we don't know exactly where we will be with our COVID-19 situation, but it brings promise that the competitions will resume in an outdoor capacity with us doing social distancing wherever we
Sure.
are. When that time comes, we will be able to follow the guidelines and rally around our children and support. I have to mention some other programs. Of course, we have the volleyball,
Sure.
the young ladies, girls basketball, and so the entire program is thriving under your leadership. And when you talk about wins, we have to talk about one of the biggest wins of all. How long has it been since we've been able to host the sectionals? Remember how we used to be in high school?
Yes, sectionals, regionals, sectionals
Big
used to be a given.
deal. So congratulations.
Yes.
Talk to
Thank
me
you.
about us hosting the sectionals coming up pretty soon
Yes,
here.
coming up March 2nd is a Tuesday. So the sectional basically going to run that Tuesday, Wednesday. It's an off day on Thursday. And then we'll return with Friday and Saturday.
I'm ready to work, Coach.
Yes, and I got you on the list, you know. And to me, I'm looking at it like, you know, this is a showcase of Gary. in a
Yes.
showcase of Westside High School. So we're putting all the ducks in order to make sure that it goes off with a hitch. But, you know, all that is important, Chelsea, but I don't want to make sure that I mention, you know, something about like our student athletes. Our student athletes they always come first in everything, you know, we do. One of the questions I got from one of the coaches when I first took the job, when I was introducing myself, was, "Hey, coach, what are you going to do for us? What are you going to, you know, how are you going to help us?"
That's
and,
fair.
It's a very fair question, but my answer was, are you referring to you as a coach, or are you referring to the kids?
Right.
Because if you're referring to the kids, I will take care of you.
Yes.
You know, but I believe that, you know, when the kids come first, I want our kids, you know, when we talk about funds, so that's why we talking about the football uniforms.
Yes.
That goes to our kids.
Yes.
You know, I'm not interested in things that go toward to, you know, the coaches and all that. You know, I believe your
that's
kids.
the perfect segue as
Your
we
kids
wrap
are
up.
your best.
Our best asset and why we
yes.
all are here. And so I want to close out by reminding everyone that we are in the throes of fundraising for uniforms for our football team, and I'd like to encourage everyone to visit our website, garyschools.org, to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, because we are constantly posting updates. And I want to thank you, Coach, for sending us all of the information. All the schedules are there. So anything you need to know about any of our teams is posted on our website. I want to thank you so much for being our guest today. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Robert Lee, our athletic director of the Gary Community School Corporation, and I want to thank you for tuning in to A Day in the District. I've been your host, Chelsea Whittington, and we'll see you next time.
WSTG